Argentina is an exceptional nation in South America, which has so much nuclear capacity.
We actually have a sense of pride of keeping this activity going and also having a CANDU in our country. Big challenge, a big responsibility. For example, we changed the 4 steam generators, not only retubing of the reactor, and many other aspects of the plant were refurbished.
These groups work together to operate a facility like Embalse.
Because the plant, even though it's in an outage, even though the reactor is disassembled, you still have systems that are operated, running, so you need to have people controlling those systems.
Hey friends, welcome back to another episode of Going Nuclear. I'm here in Argentina, which is home to a CANDU nuclear power reactor, Embalse. I'm here with a very special guest. His name is Juan Cantarelli. He is the plant manager here at Embalse. So Juan, welcome.
Thank you very much. Welcome. Thank you for giving me the opportunity to talk with you.
It's a true pleasure. I think Argentina is an exceptional nation in South America, which has so much nuclear capacity. And for someone like yourself that's leading this Embalse nuclear facility, tell us about your experiences being the plant manager here.
Okay. Well, as you mentioned, we are a country with a nuclear tradition. We have nuclear activity since several decades. So we actually have a sense of pride of keeping this activity going and also having a CANDU in our country, which is a proof that we can deal with this technology and we can run this and we can get the benefits of this technology in our country as well.
Very nice. Tell us about your journey as a plant manager. What are some of your responsibilities look like here at Embalse?
Okay. I've been working in the company since 1999, a bit more than 25 years. So I'm the plant manager since 2016. I assumed the position since almost the beginning of the outage of the life extension, which is quite a good experience. So I'm still in the position, running the plant in this second cycle of operation. And it's an honor for me as well to be the plant manager.
It's so unique in Argentina, right? Tell us about operating this facility as well as you having other facilities on site with different technologies. What's that like?
Okay. Well, precisely this year, it was the 50th anniversary of the start of the construction of this plant. It started in 1974, which is remarkable for us. It's a good opportunity to remember this. As you were mentioned, we don't have so far a very big fleet. It's only 3 nuclear power plants in Argentina. We are the only CANDU plant. The other 2 are in the province of Buenos Aires, Atucha 1 and 2. They use also natural uranium and heavy water, but they're not CANDU. So it's very special for us. Also for the location of this plant, because it's right in the middle of the country, supplying energy to an important region of the country, to the national grid, but located in a very important, relevant region of the country, supplying energy. What we say is safe, reliable, and clean energy.
You know, tell me about the journey of Cordoba getting the Embalse facility. What was that like? What was it like developing the workforce here? How have you seen that evolution take place here at this facility?
As you mentioned, it's a long journey. It's also very interesting to remember because, as I was mentioned, the construction of this plant started in 1974, but the initial project is back to the late 60s when the first project took place. It was actually going to be built in another lake, which is not this one. So because of the size of the plant, it was moved to this specific lake for the cooling purposes. So it's something, the whole story of the plant helped the development of the technical aspects of this region, of this province, as well as many other aspects that supports what we would call the development of the region in many ways, not only technical, but also educational, also in terms of responsibility with the local communities, which is also something very important for us. As we say, we don't just sell energy or power, it's something else, you know. It's not only safe, reliable, and clean power, but it's also development in terms of technical development, educational development, social development, and in relation also with the communities.
Very nice. Yeah, when it comes to education, it's really amazed to see that Argentina has one of the best educational systems in the world, right? It has so many opportunities for young people and nuclear engineering programs, right? And so tell us about the opportunities this facility provides for that next young generation.
Okay. Well, several decades ago, there's an institution that forms nuclear engineers or nuclear professionals in the country, which is in the south of the country, in Bariloche. Maybe you've heard of that. So we are in very close relationship with this educational, let's say, branch of the country that provides our nuclear facilities with professionals around the plants. But it's also worth mentioning that we don't have only, or let's say, we don't employ only this kind of professionals. We employ people from other specialties, also not only engineers, of course. Me, in my case, for example, I'm from Cordoba. I studied in Cordoba, and there are many technicians that comes from the local, let's say, from the neighboring communities. Also professionals from the rest of the country. We mention often that it's a very federal facility, so we have people from the parts of the country.
Very cool. Tell us a little bit about your background. How did you get into the industry? How were the origins like, and how did you become a plant manager later on at the facility right now?
Okay. Well, as I was mentioning, I studied in the city of Cordoba, which is the capital of the province. I finished my engineering degree there. I started to work in 1999, and my background is mainly operations. I started actually in nuclear safety, doing PSA analysis, probabilistic safety assessment. Then I went to operations, which I did most of my career. I was a shift manager. And after that, I was promoted to be plant manager. It's a long journey, but also very interesting because you have the chance to learn many things. You have the chance to see the interaction between all the technical systems of the plant before you get to this position. And then you have the chance to see the interaction between technical and non-technical parts of the company, that all of them helps to run the company, which is something not only interesting, but also very good. It's make you more rich, because you have the chance to see many other aspects of the industry, how is it running, how it's interlinked with the history, with also with the rest of the activity, because as you may know, we are not the only institution dedicated to nuclear power. We have also CONEA, for example. We have also the regulatory body. We are all part of this business. So you have the chance to see the interactions among them and how they help from their expertise to run this business. That I said, it has several decades in the country, and we had the opportunity, the honor, and the responsibility to keep it going, and if we may, make it larger.
Let's talk about the refurbishment project that took place. I know it was a very successful refurbishment, life extension of the CANDU, and I think it's wonderful for the world to know about the success of that project. Tell us a little bit about operations, how it has evolved from that first cycle, that first initial new build, to now you're pursuing that second 30-year phase of CANDU operations.
Well, the first cycle of operation ended in 2015, but before of that, for many years, there were hard work of preparation for the life extension of the plant. So one thing that I would like to mention is that the scope of the life extension here was the biggest, like in any other CANDU in the world, all the plants went through a refurbishment in the rest of the world. They didn't have a scope as big as we had here. So it was also a big challenge, a big responsibility. For example, we changed the 4 steam generators, not only retubing of the reactor, and many other aspects of the plant were refurbished. So, first of all, it was a big opportunity because back in the 70s or in the 80s, it was not known that this was going to be possible. So you can do, for a fraction of a new plant, you can extend the life of the plant, and for a fraction of a price as well, you can extend for another period the life of the plant. So our country and our company took this opportunity, and we also were aware that the rest of the nuclear family, so to speak, are looking at us trying to see which are the results of this. So if we are successful, many others can see that they can be successful as well, as we saw many others before us. So it's a continuity. With our plant, we were able to prove that it was going to be possible, and we are continue to operate in this cycle and the second cycle, proving that the work that we did before the outage and during the outage was successful.
That's phenomenal. Yeah, I'm sure it's an exceptional learning experience and a technically complex challenge, right, that the country took on and brought success. And with this refurb experience with this CANDU nuclear power site, tell us about the future of CANDU in Argentina. Is there potential for another new build?
Well, if you ask me personally, I would love to see an expansion of the CANDU fleet in Argentina. We're familiar with the technology. One thing that I didn't mention is that many aspects of the life extensions were performed here in the country. So, of course, we had and we have still assistance from the companies that are abroad, but the management of the project was done by the company, and many of the internals that were replaced during the life extension outage were manufactured in Argentina. So it's also a proof of the capacity that the country has to support the expansion of the fleet here and also abroad. So I would love to see more CANDU plants in the country and the rest of the world as well, because it's a technology that we feel comfortable with, that we have proved that we are capable to expand. So yes.
That's phenomenal. It's great to see that internal resources are there, right? Tell us a little bit about some of those internal resources that are proof of the supply chain in Argentina. Tell us about how does that supply chain feed the CANDU reactor on site here?
For example, the internals of the reactors were manufactured in the country. Pressure tubes, calendar tubes, end fittings, and the steam generators were built here in Argentina under license, but were built here. And many other parts were performed, designed and manufactured in the country. And the supply chain is also able to give this not only to us, not only to our fleet, but also if the conditions are given to export them. So it's something that I think it's already in place, creating and waiting also for the chance to prove their capabilities, support the expansion of the fleet here and in the rest of the world, if possible.
That's phenomenal. And I know there's a heavy water facility as well, right? Nearby.
Right. In the south of the country, there's a heavy water plant that manufacture the heavy water for our plant and for the Atuchas as well. That needs to go under refurbishment to be able to produce in larger amounts of heavy water for us and for the rest of the fleet. Now, in the current days, it's under refurbishment and needs investments to be able to produce water, but it's there, So we have the chance to recover it and to make it produce again heavy water.
Juan, tell us a little bit about the performance of this facility. Yeah, what does it look like?
Okay. Well, the performance of the plant, first of all, as I like to say, the nuclear family is not a big family. So we are part of one, for example, which is the World Association of Nuclear Operators. So as equal as the rent of the plants in the world, our performance is being monitored by this international institution that we are part of it, like the facilities in the rest of the world, as I said, in Canada, and in Europe, in Asia, and also in South America. So the performance of the plant is good. So we're happy with the performance of this. And also we're happy with the contribution that we do to the energy of the country. Currently, of the installed capacity in the country, the nuclear is about 5%. But as we are base load power, we represent a bit more of supply to the local grid, to the national grid. It's like a 7 to 8% contribution of the rest of the country, which is important, but would like to see a much bigger contribution. Like, for example, you have in Ontario in Canada, which is much larger. Would love to see this base load power supplied by nuclear power.
Cordoba is the second largest city in Argentina. So tell us about the relevance of the city of Cordoba and the positioning of this facility? Why was Cordoba chosen?
Okay. So, Cordoba, as you mentioned, is the capital of the province of the same name, of Cordoba. It has a bit more than 1.5 million inhabitants. So, it's an industrial hub as well. So, it has many industries. So, our needs in of supply chain, many of them come from the province of Cordoba. So, it also helps to the development of the province. It's a province as well that requires power, even though our power is supplied to a national grid, not only to the province of Cordoba. It goes to the rest of the country, Cordoba included. It's important to be we're 120 kilometers south from the city of Cordoba, but it's important to have relationship with this city in terms of having, as I said, supply, and also maybe people prepare, not only from the city of Cordoba, but there are also many other cities which are closer to the plant that also give us people, professional technicians, and workers in general to support our activity.
When it comes to operation of this facility, being the plant manager, I think that's a really big responsibility, right? For even working at a utility, just understanding the scope of working with the shift managers, working with the engineers, working with various staff on site. It's a lot. It's a huge responsibility. Tell us about the extent of that responsibility. What does a day-to-day look like in your job?
Well, as you say, it's a big responsibility, but it's also a good chance to, let's say, let other people help me perform my duties. So what I do have is very committed staff, very committed people, personnel that loves to work in the industry, that appreciate the chance to work in here. So it's me also a good chance to how to support them, how to let myself be helped by them. It's a process in which all we get more rich than before. We grow up, we develop ourselves. It's an opportunity for personal growth as well.
Tell us about the pressure, not the pressures, but the extent of the scope, I would say, at the facility, right? You're with the operations, you're interfacing with engineering and so many other subgroups. How these groups work together to operate a facility like Embalse?
Okay. Well, as you said, there is an operational branch of the in staff of the plant. Mm-hmm. You have also maintenance, engineering, as you mentioned. You have procurement and programming. You have also safety and security. Mm-hmm. So they all work together as a team, trying to give, let's say, trying to run the plant, what I would mention. And I would like not to forget also that there are many other people that are specialized in their own matter of expertise, external relationships with the community, medical service. We have many other persons that from their point of, let's say, from their matter of expertise, they support the work of the plant. So they learn from us, technicians, and we learn from them as well. And so we all make a team. It's possible to run this, having a strong team that they all need to know that from their particular point of specialization, they can support the activity. It's not only run with nuclear specialists. We need people that have knowledge in many other areas to support the plant, It's something good for all of us. It's something that you can see day by day. You were asking about how do we interact with all this. Oh, the day starts with a meeting with the shift manager, for example, in which participate the rest of the plant, telling the news, so to speak. We trying to see how to support day by day the operation, This is how the day starts, focusing on this, on the operation. And of course, you have the rest of the hours of the day to the planification in the long term, medium and long term, all the aspects of the operation of the plant. On power and for the scheduled outages and the projects that we have for the future. Because as before, many people thought about extending the life of the plant in the second cycle of operations. Now it's our opportunity and our duty to think the same that they did, to think, okay, how do we continue the operation of the plant? Which are the plans for the future? How can we continue to give the let's say, to the rest of the community and the country in our activity? So it's responsibility, but it's also very interesting because it gives you the chance, as I said, to say, how can we be useful for the community, for the country, for the activities, for all the members of this small family of nuclear that are watching us, that are seeing how are our results, to see that we are viable, that we are useful, that we can continue with this business.
Absolutely, I think that's phenomenal. That much of teamwork, right? It's not only nuclear engineers that work at the facility, right?
It's a teamwork.
It's a teamwork. It's a combination of different skill sets. I think you described that like beautifully. It's wonderful to know that this facility is utilizing all expertise, right? And they're coming together to make this facility operate.
Right. You have technicians, you have accountants, you have counselors, you have physicians, you have people from many specialties working here in the plant and in the company as well, and all of them are supporting the activity.
What is your messaging around nuclear safety? When I come up to you and approach you and have questions, how do you let them know that this facility is operating very safely and it's world-class facility? The
first priority that we have in our activity, in our plan, is safety. So it's a message that we give. There is a safety message, for example. The start of this day, this meeting that we have, it starts by a safety message. So safety is everywhere. It's the overriding priority, as we call it. It's the first, let's say, obligation that we have is to be safe, and it comes together with reliability. If you're safe, you are reliable. It's closely related, one thing with the other, but safety is always first. That would be the message. Safety is always first.
For the youth that are watching, what is your message for them? I know across the world there's a nuclear renaissance ongoing. There's nuclear reactor fleets that are being built, and the continuation of reactor fleets like Embalse, right? There's potentials for maybe another refurb, right? Like extended to 90 years. Tell us about your message.
The size of the fleet in the entire world. As you may have heard, Rafael Grossi, which is Argentine by the way, which is the Secretary General of the IAEA, he promoted the triplication of the nuclear fleet by 2050. So that's, I think it's very important that all the community commits to that target, because it helps the world, I would say. So we, from every specialty in our business, are able to participate in these efforts in the entire world. That would be my message.
So Juan, I think one of the most incredible things about nuclear power reactors, especially CANDUs, is the ability to produce electricity and also isotopes, right? Many of which are used for medical purposes. Tell us a little bit about that capability and also its benefit to the people of Argentina.
Well, you're right. It's not only producing power, but for example, here in this plant specifically, we produce cobalt-60, which is used in the country and also exported. It's very useful radioactive isotope. And we're currently studying the possibility of producing lutetium, lutetium-77, which is already being produced in one plant in Canada. So we're analyzing if it's possible here also in this plant. It's another, let's say, apportation that this kind of technology does to the society.
From a plant operations side, how does Embalse produce those medical isotopes?
Cobalt-60 is produced inside the reactor. So you have the reactor, and inside there are rods made of cobalt-59, which are irradiated by the flux core. This flux is irradiating, giving neutrons to this cobalt and producing, in time, cobalt-60. So in every outage, we have what we call a campaign in which we remove these rods and we send this cobalt to facilities in Buenos Aires to separate the cobalt-60 and to sell it. It has not only medical but also industrial uses for sterilization of food, for example, which is very used here and also in the rest of the world.
Very nice. And take us in a journey inside the control room, right? We're going to be going to the control room tomorrow, and I think one that I would love for you to do is let's do a little bit of a walkthrough in the control room environment. What's that environment like? How can it get? Or what are some of the challenges that you face in that control room environment?
Well, control room. One thing that I would like to mention is that it was occupied since the start of the operation of the plant. For example, in 1983, there were people working there 24/7, all the days of the year. And also, for example, during the life extension, there was always people there in the control room, right? Because the plant, even though it's in an outage, even though the reactor is disassembled, you still have systems that are operated, running. So you need to have people controlling those systems, right? The work in the control room, I was part of this. I was a shift manager. So it's like, I would say, like in every plant in the world, you have to have a quiet environment, with no distractions. So you need to have no environment there. You need to have a quiet operation environment. People that works there trains in a simulator, which is also in the site. So very often they go to the simulator, they train specific situations, which could be, for example, regular operations, like starting the plant, like shutting down the plant, like rotating equipments, for example. And also you may train also abnormal situations for which you have procedures, and you train them in the simulator. So if it happens that you need to use them in real life, in the real control room, you're prepared for that. So we train our people for that. We are also being, let's say, monitored, controlled by the national regulatory body, and also from people from these international organizations that come to do an assessment of our performance here and the rest of the world as well, so they can see how the behavior of the crew is according to international standards, which is actually is a quite interesting experience, because you have the chance to see how the plant works, how it interacts, all the systems of the plant, to see how it really perform the activities, technically the plant, right?
Like if we were to walk into the control room right now, what are some of the things that you see? What are some of the things that you observe? Let's walk through the control room.
Well, you should see people that are sitting in their desks, monitoring the operation of the plant. You should see all the lights off, because you have no alarms. So you need to see a relaxed environment, people controlling the behavior of the plant, right? That's the way you should see a control room here and everywhere, right? It's work that it's focusing, concentrating in the parameters of the current operation of the plant. You will intervene, you will interact with the plant when it's needed, according to certain procedures, and following the training that they had from before, right? There is also quite a lot of supervision, because you have a shift manager that monitors the work of the operator, and the shift manager as well has supervision from the operation managers, or from my case, for example, during regular hours. And if not, we are on call, so they can call people that they need to give them support if something special arises during, for example, weekends or during night. But usually what we work for is to give them the chance not to be concerned, We're successful if the shift manager is bored. We focus our work.
So what's the job of a shift manager at Embalse?
He has to control the operation of the entire plant. He has to, starting by safety, he has to be, if the safety is not a challenge of the plant, he has to control all the parameters that are related with the operation of the plant. For example, you have reactor power, which is linked with electrical power. There has to be a balance with this. You have to check if all the systems are working properly, both active and passive systems, because we have many passive systems that, for example, safety system, that even though they are not operating, they have to be available. So you have to do many tests. Most of the work, of the daily work of the operational crew and the shift manager is to do tests, proving the availability of these safety systems.
That was a really great overview of the job. Let's go deeper into the plant. Tell us about going into the site. What's the first thing you see? Tell us about like the airlocks and like how the general functions of the reactor side and then the balance of plant side. An overview of that.
People that do shift, that works on shift, they are also, for example, field operators. So you have operators not only in the main control room, but also in the field, So we can do an imaginary walk with them and, for example, go through the airlocks into the reactor building, So we have 2 airlocks, actually, one that is bigger than the other one, and you can enter one door at a time through the airlock inside the reactor building. If the plant is operating, you're able only to go through a part of the reactor building. If you are in an outage, you may have authorization to go deeper inside and maybe to see the calendar as well. Not now, but in an outage, you can do that. And from there, you can see, well, actually, the field operator has in duties, he has to perform rounds in the plant to see which are all the parameters in the field, trying to perceive if there are something not usual, for example, noises or something like this. If you leave the reactor, which is operating, you are in the service buildings, which has also part of radiologically controlled area. You have to change your clothes to enter there. You have to wear a dosimeter because you have ionizing radiation there. So you have to protect yourself by using this. And when you leave that part, you go to the balance of plant. You go to the turbine building, which is actually a steam turbine, like a regular steam turbine. As we also mentioned, a nuclear power plant, the only thing that has special is a nuclear reactor that produces heat. That heat boils water, and that steam is the one that moves the turbine. So that part is conventional, like any other steam turbine. So you will see a steam turbine, a generator, and all the support systems. And if you leave that building, you will see the auxiliary systems, like, for example, the cooling water that cools the condenser of the turbine. For example, you may see also the standby diesel generators, many other systems that supports the operation of the plant. There are also, for example, administrative buildings. And you may see here also the switchyard of the plant, the part in which you deliver power to the grid and in which you also use the power from the grid if you're in an outage.
Yeah, I think that's a great walkthrough. I'm really excited to enter this facility and sense of all of the work that's taking place. I think this is going to be my first time entering a CANDU 6 station. So Argentina, home to Messi, right? I know Canadians, we're big fans of Messi, right? And kind of the work ethic and, the underdog that rose to the top, right? And soccer is a big part of your culture. Tell us a little bit about your thoughts on, what's your favorite team? And who do you think is going to win the Championship League this year?
Well, actually, for us, it's always Argentina. One special thing that I can mention is that one player of the team was born here in this town, in Embalse. Yeah. So he had the chance to participate in this team. He was part of this team. He's still part of the team. But there we had, let's say, one local hero that was participating in that team.
Oh, nice. What's his name?
Nahuel Molina.
Nahuel Molina. Well, this was a great chat. Really appreciate your expertise on so many topics and this exceptional overview of Embalse. And looking forward to exploring your facility. And thank you so much for having me on your site here.
It's a privilege for us. Thank you very much.
A pleasure. Thank you.